All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to what I think is going to be the last episode of the podcast in this studio. We're moving down to a different studio on the other side of downtown, closer to Wells Fargo Arena, closer to Buzzer Billy's. That's not really important, but anyways, we're going to move down there soon. This week we have the 2022 NCAA Wrestling Tournament. Tyler and I are leaving on Tuesday. We're going to end up driving, which sucks, but I screwed up on the flight deal.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Anyways, we got a special guest in the building. Last time that he was here, we broke down the 2021 NCAA Wrestling Tournament, and now we're back. It's probably going to be an annual thing, no?
Yeah, I hope so. Let's keep it rolling.
Yeah, keep it rolling. If you guys don't know, this is Jake Agnich. He is the head coach at Southeast Polk High School here in Iowa. Yes, there you go. A bunch of studs coming out of there. Nate Jesaroga. Joel Jesaroga, the Martinson brothers right now. In the past, they've had Corey Clark. They've had Willie Miklas. They've had, the list goes on and on. Wrestled at Wartburg, right? Mm-hmm. All-American.
Yep.
Hit the applause for that. And the reason why I tell you guys all this is so that you guys trust him with your picks, okay? So we got approached by somebody. They said, hey, you guys want to do a video breaking down this whole NCAA wrestling tournament? And I said, absolutely, we do. And I thought I'd bring in the big dog, the expert. So we're gonna break this down, go from 125 all the way to heavyweight. We're gonna talk about some WrestleStat pools. We're getting ready to put ours together. We're gonna try to figure out some sort of prize for everybody, or for not everybody, but whoever wins will get maybe a T-shirt or something like that. Maybe some cash. We'll figure it out. Yeah. Don't hold me to that caching. I don't know. We've been handing out too much cash lately. We did the giveaway, the Patreon giveaway. Thank you for everybody who subscribes to the Patreon. If you guys haven't done that yet, it's $3.99. Somebody just won $1,000 and 2 tickets to the NCAA Wrestling Tournament. That's pretty cool that we were able to do that. What else? The Discord. Join our Discord. Link down below. And last but not least, Barbarian Apparel. We just re-signed for another year with them. I'm pretty excited about that. Hit that button. Yeah, they've been awesome to work with this whole time, and we're excited to keep this thing rolling. And so if you guys need custom team apparel, scroll down, click the link, and check it all out. Last night we went to a Night of Conflict that was put on by Tony Hager and I Wrestle and the whole team, and they were all wearing Barbarian singlets. They kept calling it Barbarian Red, Barbarian Blue. I love that. We might use that for Street League, which is coming back soon. So, all right, let's get into this episode. Roll the intro.
Subscribe to StaleMates. Click.
Subscribe to StaleMates.
Let's start at 125. We did the Twitter Spaces the other night, which was really fun. We had 140 people in there.
Yeah, close to it.
Yeah. And we kind of broke down like our reactions to the bracket, and we did a little bit of predictions and stuff. It always ends up kind of that way, but this show is mainly going to be the predictions. So we're not really reacting to the brackets, the seeds and stuff. I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit, but nevertheless, if you guys are doing some sort of gambling with your friends, if you're doing a WrestleStat pool, if you're doing Fantasy Fight League, which is a new thing that's been kind of blowing up, which is pretty cool. I'm going to ask Jake a little bit about my team, see if he thinks I made the right things or if I should go back and readjust the lineup a little bit. But nevertheless, let's talk about the 125-pound pack bracket. At the number 1 seed, we got Nick Suriano. The number 2 seed, we got Vito Arujau. The number 3 seed, we got Pat Glory. And the number 4 seed, we got Brandon Courtney. Now, if you would have asked me a month ago, I probably would have said Nick Suriano next question. After the EIWA tournament, I'm rocking with Vito on this one.
Yeah, I don't think you're necessarily wrong there. I'm gonna go with Suriano still, but Vito whooped up on Glory. He does have a win over Suriano in the past in freestyle, so it wouldn't be crazy if Vito won. But I've still got Suriano here, and I've got Vito beating Glory just like he did last time. So it'll be interesting though. They split this year, so I'm interested to see that semifinal match.
Yeah, I am too. I heard, though, the first time that they wrestled when Glory beat him, that Vito was kind of coming off of COVID. So that's interesting. I don't really know if I don't think COVID is really going to be like in play this week. But, there's some interesting matchups here. I talked about this on the Twitter Spaces the other night. In the first round, Taylor Lamont and Malik Heinzelman is probably one of my favorite matches in this bracket. Kyson Terrakina and Trevor Master Giovanni right off the bat is fun as well. How do you see Terry? You think Terry Keeney's going to make the podium?
I don't have him making the podium, but that could all change if he beats Mastro again. I know he beat him in the duel this year. I don't know if they hit at Big 12s. I can't remember, but Kaisen's obviously really good. He could make a little run here. I mean, he's not going to be out or just up against it outside of the top probably 3 or 4 guys, but I have him losing to Schroeder on the backside. So that's a match he could easily win though.
What do you think for second round between I had Schroeder and McKee if it came to that? Is that what you had?
Yes, I have Schroeder, McKee. I think McKee in this bracket is set up really well. I think Schroeder's a little banged up as well. I think he forfeited out of the Big Tens, which obviously we don't know what that means anymore. But, I think McKee is going to make a little run to the quarters and then obviously get whooped up on by Suriano.
Yeah. All right, I was curious about that one. That one was a tough pick.
I got McKee making the top 6, so call me crazy, but I think he's going to beat Killian Cardinale in that Conti quarters.
I don't really see that being that crazy of a pick, to be honest. Killian's had some weird losses this year, but he also, I feel like he kind of performs at the right time. Last year he was an All-American, right?
Right. Yeah, I think he ended up getting 6th or 7th, 8th, something like that. But actually, he's got a really tough draw because he's got Taylor Lamont or Malik Heinzelman second round, and that's just to get to Courtney. So
what seed is Cardinale? I'm not seeing him right now.
He's the 5 seed.
5 seed?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Sam Latona being the 24 seed is really surprising. Schroeder and Latona round 1. I think Latona's been battling. It seems like a lot of people say that he's battling the weight issues. Is that right? So like if he goes and wrestles, right off the scales, I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think a lot of these guys are second weight. I mean, obviously Suriano's been up at 33 most of his career, and then Courtney is not very big, but Glory and Vito are both really large 25-pounders. So if they wrestle on Friday night, it'll be interesting because they'll both have been 12 hours off the scale and then have to make weight again that next morning. So it could be a really awesome match.
Yeah. So what's your top 3 at this weight? I'm assuming you got Nick Suriano. You said you got Nick winning. You got Vito number 2 and 3. Who is it?
Pat Glory.
Pat Glory.
I think he beats Courtney for 3rd place. But it's a crazy weight. Courtney last year made a nice run to the finals, but I don't think he's unbeatable. So.
I like this weight class. 25 is always fun.
Yeah, it is. I'm excited to see my boy Drake Ayala compete too.
You have him AA or no?
I do actually, and I'm probably a little biased because I know him personally, but I got him beat Mastro to place.
For which one?
Drake Ayala.
But what place?
Oh, I have him getting 8th place, but
8th.
That would be
that with losing to Courtney.
So, him losing to Courtney, and then he beats Mastro to place, and then loses to Eric Barnett again, which that could easily go the other way after Big Tens.
Let me ask you this. Drake Ayala gets 8th place. Are Hawkeye fans happy or disappointed in 8th?
I think they should be happy, but I know Drake won't be happy with 8th, but, I think at this point he's a 13 seed. He's banged up too, and I think if he were to be able to find his way on the podium as a true freshman, that would be extremely impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with everything that he's gone through this year. Got to see his brother wrestle last night. He's a hammer too.
Yeah, Drew's very good.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, we're going to move on to 133. This is another weight class that's really fun. I'm not really seeing very much change from the past few years at 133, if we're being totally honest. But just real quick, we got Roman Bravo Young at the number 1 seed, Dayton Fix at the number 2. At the 3, we got Corbin Myers. At the 3, we got Michael McGee, and at the 4, we got Corbin Myers. And I'm going to take it one step further. At the 5th seed, we got Austin DeSanto. DeSanto being the 5th seed is probably the most vocal the fans have been about the seeding stuff. The seeding stuff, to me, is one of those things that's kind of stupid to argue about. The first thing why it's stupid to argue about is because it's pretty formulaic, right? Other than the coaches ranking, which, is probably the most opinionated part of the whole, criteria stuff. But when people don't realize is there's a very strict math formula that you can look up, and that's kind of how they come down to the seeds, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing for us in high school. The state tournament's seeded, but it's more so like just separated, and it's a formula, and there you get a certain amount of points for certain criteria, and that's how seeds are too. And if you don't have quality wins, it's going to be hard to get a really high seed.
Yeah. So, at 133 pounds, I have Austin DeSanto on my fantasy fight league team. I don't know, exactly how the scoring, I don't know if he's like I'm not picking DeSanto to win the bracket, but the value on the fantasy fight league app or website is why I, went with him.
I'll show the team picks that you can do for it too. That's also who I picked was Austin DeSanto.
For the fantasy fight league one?
Yeah, just in his category, he seemed like the obvious choice in terms of points.
But to actually win this bracket, I'm going RBY. I mean, he doesn't really make a lot of mistakes. We've seen Austin DeSanto wrestle him how many times now? He's not been able to beat him. Has Dayton Fix beat RBY before? Do you know that off the top of your head?
I'm not 100% sure, but I have Fix winning actually over RBY. Yeah, I think he's looked really good this year. I think the last time they wrestled, he had to make weight in like 2 or 3 weeks for the Olympic trials, and I think that kind of played a factor. He looks huge now at the weight. So I haven't beaten RBY, but RBY is so good that could easily be wrong on that. But I think DeSanto is in a very good spot, though. I know he should be the 3 seed, but he's going to beat RBY before he beats Dayton Fix.
I mean,
just matchup
I
wise.
didn't think his path looked very bad, like all the way to the semis with that 5th seed.
No, Corbin Myers is good, but he whooped up on Myers last year for 3rd place, which is kind of funny now that he's the 5 seed. But he's, if I'm an Iowa fan, his draw might look a little bad on paper because of Philippi 2nd round probably,
right.
who's given really good guys fits before, and he's actually has a win over Fix, but DeSanto majored him maybe last year, and I don't see that changing. And Philippi's taken more losses this year than in the past.
Who do you think DeSanto has? Not that this is DeSanto hour. I'm just focused on my fantasy fight league team. But who do you think DeSanto has a better chance of beating, RBY or Fix?
RBY for sure.
You think so?
Yeah, he's shown that he can get to RBY's legs, and he's beaten him a couple different times, and that was like 4 years ago. So things have obviously changed, but I would feel much better about him beating RBY than Dayton Fix.
That's interesting. I feel like you'd want to go the other way. Like you wrestled the same guy so many times, you don't want to just keep wrestling him. It's like, is he ever gonna? I don't know. I just feel like that matchup where we've seen it so many times is just kind of gonna always go that way.
Yeah, it's hard to beat a guy 5 times though, a really good guy, in a row. So we'll see. I have RBY beating DeSanto again, but he was really close in the Big Ten to finish in a shot. So that's all he really needs to do. But he's having a really hard time figuring that out.
I'll tell you my first round matchup favorite is Madrigal and Chris Cannon. I think that's going to be fun. The 23 seed and the 10 seed. I wouldn't be surprised to see Madrigal get it done. What else is there in the first round here that's fun?
If you're a UNI guy, Biscaglia and Braden Palmer, I think that could be an interesting match, and that's going to be really important because I've got Biscaglia actually making a little run here to making the blood round and losing to Foley. So, but that's also with him winning that first round matchup, and that obviously not a given. Chance Rich and Brock Hudkins are both really solid guys, so that could be an interesting one.
Yeah. I like Lucas Bird. I like that guy's energy. I like his fight. He kind of, I don't know who he really reminds me of, but he was really kind of playing that villain role at Big Ten. Made me a fan.
Yeah, I have Bird getting 5th place, so I know he's the 7th seed, but I think there's a lot of value there. I have him losing to DeSanto, which obviously that could potentially be different if they wrestle again. So I think he's got a lot of value. Him and DeSanto both.
Tyler, who do you got at 33?
Winning?
Yep.
RBY.
RBY?
Yeah.
So 2 RBYs, 1 Fix?
Yeah.
That surprises me that you're going with Fix.
Looking at it, I don't think Fix ever has beat RBY.
No?
Not that I could find anyway, but the internet will correct me if I'm wrong.
What do you think? That changes your mind?
Nope.
No?
I'm dating Fix all day.
All right. Let's go to 41 here. Another little fantasy fight league plug. I got Nick Lee in my fantasy fight league team. I also have Nick Lee to win it. This is kind of similar lines to the RBY DeSanto argument that I had. Nick Lee keeps beating Jay Nyerman. I understand that Jay Nyerman has a win over Nick Lee last year, right? In Big Ten.
Big Ten finals.
So I think Jay Nyerman has a better chance of beating Nick Lee than DeSanto does against RBY. I just think Nickley's the healthiest at this weight when it comes to the guys who are in the top 3.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You got Nickley at the 1, you got Jaden Ironman at the 2, you got Sebastian Rivera at the 3, and you got Real Woods at the 4. I think this is a Nickley show. I'm a huge Nickley fan. I've always liked the way that he wrestles. He just kind of attacks. He's solid. He doesn't really make any mistakes, hardly ever. So I got Nickley. It was easy for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've got Nickley beating Sebastian Rivera in the finals. I think.
Have you heard the rumors?
I've heard the rumors. I know the rumors. I mean, I've heard the rumors about both him and Ironman. So I don't like that they're both banged up. And actually, I don't like Ironman or Seabass's draw, to be honest with you. Ironman's going to probably have Keyshawn Clark or Ryan Jack, who he's had a close match with in the second round. And then he's going to have Clay Carlson, who
I like him a lot.
a hammer, and he wrestles really, really hard. So that could be an interesting one. And Seabass has Chad Red probably second round.
Right.
And we all know that's not an easy out, especially at the NCAA tournament. And then, Cole Matthews has been wrestling really well this year. So that would be a quarter.
Can you pull up Chad Red's wrestle stat? I want to see who he lost to this year.
Yeah.
He's got 6 losses. I mean, that's the Big Ten for you, right?
He didn't even place at Big Tens.
Right.
Yeah. So he had obviously
and he
a tough.
won it 2 years ago, right?
I think he made the finals. I think he lost to Nick. Did he? I thought he lost to Nick Lee, but I could be wrong on that.
Man, that is crazy.
This weight is extremely good. Chad Red is a 19 seed, and he's a 3-time All-American. So,
Right. I mean, Stefan Micic is a finalist at the 24 seed.
Yeah.
This weight, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but how you qualify for the NCAA tournament, you have to one of the criteria to get an allocated spot is you have to have a 700% win percentage, and you can only have a maximum of 29 automatic qualifiers, guys who aren't at large bids, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they make sure that every bracket has 4 wild cards or at large is whatever you want to call it, right? So if there's more than 29, they have to raise their criteria. And this weight, I think, was the highest. They raised it to not 700%. It went up to 0.74. And that's why, I think that's why, like, Chad Red didn't get there, and a couple other guys. But they ended up raising it higher and higher and higher, and it went all the way up to 0.74, which some people who really track this stuff, I don't track this a lot. We did that video where I broke down everything, and that's kind of why I knew this. But according to the people that I was talking to and getting my information from, they said that was like the highest that they could remember. To simplify all that for you guys, a ton of these guys had more than enough for the criteria for the 700% win percentage, so they just kept having to raise the threshold. So this weight class is deep. This is one of those ones I feel like, I think Nick Lee being the winner is the obvious choice. However, I feel like this is a bracket that could be busted up. Nick is like a lock to me, but the rest of them, I could see some very highly ranked guys that some people might pick to win this falling way off.
Yeah, I think obviously if you listen to the rumors about some of these guys being a little banged up, I'd be a little worried if I was, an Iowa or Rutgers fan. So, and then, I mean, Real Woods is extremely good.
He is good.
Ian Parker, I think he was a little sick at Big 12, something like that. So he's, as a 13 seed, he could make a run. I mean, he can beat Real Woods. I'm not picking it, but it wouldn't shock me if that happened.
I'll tell you my dark horse would be at this weight is which I don't really know if it's a dark horse, but Alirez. I like him a lot.
I love Alirez. He's got a really good lefty single. He actually has a win over Nick Lee freestyle. It was like 4 or 5 years ago. So take that for what it's worth. But yeah, he's really good. I have him losing to Woods, but I wouldn't be shocked if it went the other way. And then I also have Alirez losing to Ironman. And I'm kind of thinking I might switch that. I'm not 100% sure yet.
All right, so I got Nick Lee. You got Nick Lee. Tyler, Nick Lee.
Yeah.
Are we all in on Nick Lee at this weight?
Yeah. Has Hart and Micic ever wrestled before?
Not that I'm aware of.
I got Alan Hart in round 1.
Really?
Yeah, me too. I watching Micic at Big Tens, he looks like he's either banged up or kind of just ready to be done, or a little bit of both.
You're probably right. Looking at his seed, though, I went ahead and picked him for WrestleStat just because I thought it was an insane seed.
So that is
ton of value there.
Yeah,
if
but
he makes a run. If.
Right,
that's
the
big if.
That's the sucker bet that WrestleStat always gets me. I mean, this is the WrestleStat god over here, guys. He got second in the wrestling room pool last year, won himself 8 large ones. So he's coming to defend the strap. Oh, by the way, I forgot to put this in his description for, we went on and on about his coaching accolades. This guy's a street league champion, by the way. Can we clap it up? Started off the night with a spladle. So he's a WrestleStat god. He's a spladle god. And that's why we bring him on the show. He's an expert.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to 149 here. 149 is kind of similar to 141. Very top heavy with the number 1 seed. You got Yanni Diakomahalis. You got Tariq Wilson at the 2. Feel like he's been slept on lately. At the 3, you got Austin Gomez. And at the 4, you got Sammy Sasso. This is interesting, honestly. I got Yanni. That part's easy for me. But everything else, it's like, how is it going to actually get to that point? I have no freaking clue. This is one of the most electric weight classes in college wrestling. You got guys like Ridge Lovett, right? Ridge Lovett and Jay Nabis in round 1, insane. Jarrett Dagan, an All-American's going to get Yanni in the second round if he gets past McDougald, which isn't a guarantee either. Mm-hmm. That's insane. You got Bryson Donian, who's insane. You got Gomez, Sasso. It's nuts. This whole weight class, absolutely nuts. Anything can happen. A lot of these guys are high flyers. They scramble. If there's one weight class that I could tell you guys to really pay attention to, even on the backside, that Saturday morning session, you're not going to want to miss any of these matches. It's going to be nuts. I got Yanni personally. Who's your champion at this weight, I'm assuming?
Yeah, Yanni. Next topic. I mean, he's probably my second or third pick that I'm most comfortable, like, as far as like a lot goes. I think he's just better than all these guys, and he's just, better at wrestling moves than most of them. But the rest of it could go any way. There's a ton of really good guys. I mean, Yaya Thomas is the 19 seed, and he's got 3rd last year.
Do you have anybody on this that you're going to pick to not perform to the highest of their seed?
Well,
I mean, chalk for you at this weight.
It's not chalk at all, and I went a little chalkish, I think. I've got Parko and Murin and Milner and Lovett all placing. I think Lovett as actually, I don't like his first round match against Abbas, but after that, he can beat all these guys. He can beat Heil and Tariq Wilson, and then on the backside, you're looking at like a Bartlett or a Van Brill to place. So I would feel really good if I Ridge Lovett. He's one of those guys. Him and Yaya Thomas are 2 people that have a ton of value to me.
I mean, let's look at some of these first round matchups, right? Jarrett Dagan versus Willie McDougald. I don't know how to say that exactly, but so that's a crazy first round match. Big 12 on Big 12. Gefeller and Ogunsanya. I know Ogunsanya is a little banged up. I believe he took a medical forfeit or an injury default at his conference tournament, but both those guys are really good. There's a couple other.
Like Bo Bartlett and Colin Robuto is going to be a battle.
Yes,
and that's if you want to talk about the team race, that would be big for you and I to take out Penn State there.
Fine Silver and Yaya is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Heil and Josh Edmond, another good one. And then there was another one I felt like. Oh, Ridge Lovett and Jay Nabis.
Yeah, that one's Ridge Lovett Abbas is going to be awesome. I mean, even Legend Lamer and Artelona first round is interesting. And then, Michael Block is one of my boys. I mean, he's a 31 seed somehow, so that just tells you how crazy this weight is. I mean, he's got 5th at Big Tens, and he's a 31 seed.
Yeah, being 13-13 for Michael Blockus is crazy. He's definitely better than his record there, I feel like.
Yeah, that's just the Big Ten for you. No easy matches, and then if you're not hitting a couple early like easier opens, which I don't think Minnesota hit very many this year, you're going to run into where you get a tough record.
Yep. All right, Yanni's all around.
Yep.
One round of Yanni's.
And I had Austin Gomez for my fantasy fight league team too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Do you get more points if he gets pins?
Yeah, I think actually they award more points for technical falls on Fantasy Fight League than pins, but those are the 2 highest point values.
I do know that. What do you think of that? Should technical falls be worth more dual? Because I think it's a dual score, right?
Yeah.
Except for those are switched.
So, right.
Do you think a tech fall should be worth more than a pin?
I don't know. I think getting a tech fall at the college level is much harder than getting a pin.
Right.
Just because you may have get caught on your back or you do something stupid and roll on your back. It's kind of easier, I think, to pin someone than it is to tech them.
The only difference is the pinning is like that is supposed to be the goal of a match, right?
Yep.
So that is if you pin your person, you achieved the goal of a wrestling match, right? And then everything else is kind of like consolation.
Yep.
So I don't know. I understand though. It's definitely. I think it's a lot harder to tech somebody than to pin them. Most cases.
Not understood the logic for Fight League.
All right, 57 to me is probably. I don't want to get killed for saying this, but I think it's probably one of the more boring brackets, only because, except for the finals, I got Deacon and Carr in the finals. You guys already know my pick. If you follow the show, you guys know I'm a big Cyclone fan. I love David Carr. But I'm going to tell you guys the seeds anyways, okay? David Carr is at the number 1. You got Ryan Deacon at the number 2. At the 3, you got Ja'Cory Teamer. And at the 4, you got Ed Scott. I will say this, as a huge David Carr homer, an Iowa State homer, you guys know this. I'm very happy that Teamer is on the 3 and not the 4. That matchup scares me. I don't think they've ever wrestled before. I believe last year when we went to, or maybe it was 2 years ago, the Arizona State-Iowa State duel keeps getting canceled because of COVID. But the one year that they were supposed to, it was the battle on the baseball field, whatever that was called. Teamer ended up not wrestling in that dual meet, I believe. So David Carr got the backup. We haven't seen it. I just think Teamer matches up pretty well with David. He kind of matches a lot of his skill set. I like David Carr's chances against Ed Scott a lot better. However, I'm picking David Carr over the entire field. Real shocker for everybody who follows the show. Deacon looks really good. It's just, to me, there's an element to when the lights are bright, the superstars shine, and David is a superstar. Ryan Deacon's been the number 1 or number 2 guy, top 5 guys pretty much his whole career, and just hasn't been able to pull it off. And I feel a little bit of history repeats itself here. I got David Carr winning it.
Yeah, I got Carr winning too. He's kind of just whatever it is, he has it. Whether it's a clutch gene or whatever you want to call it, he's got it, and I think that he's gonna get it done. This weight would be a lot more interesting if Austin O'Connor wasn't banged up or whatever is going on with him. I know I've heard a couple different things, but him being at the 11 seed, you think there's a lot of value there, but I heard he was not looking the greatest in the finals against Ed Scott.
It's crazy that you can have 2 losses and be the 11 seed too.
Yeah, I think part of that's just who he's lost to. He took a loss to, I think, Peyton Robb earlier. So he took an early loss that wasn't the greatest, and then obviously he lost to Ed Scott at conferences. I
mean, Peyton Robb being 13-8 this year as well is another one of those. This is what happens when you wrestle in the Big Ten things. I mean, he took David Carr at the very beginning of the year. I'll say that. I think it was David's first competition all the way to overtime, lost in overtime. But he's had a lot of really close matches. There's a lot of really good first-round matches in this as well as I'm looking at it. Let's see here. Modell and Frantic to me is interesting. I think just seems kind of toss-up-ish to me.
Yep.
Modell has some good wins. Ben Barton and Josh Humphries is another interesting one. Ben Barton was a transfer from Campbell. He's a stud. I believe he won the MAC, right, at Lock Haven. Lock Haven's in the MAC, right?
No, they're not in the MAC, are they?
I believe they are.
Okay, well then.
But he was a champion, and then Josh Humphries is really good. Josh Humphries, is he the one that pinned himself?
He got defensive fault against
Navy.
Who was he wrestling?
He
Yeah,
was a Navy kid.
Yep, he literally
Yellow.
rolled across his shoulders and
right. Andrew Cerniglia.
Yes, that does sound right. Yep.
Yeah. Lock Haven wins first Mid-American Conference Team Championship.
Dang.
Yeah. So, anyways, I think Jarrett Jacquez and Will Luan is a very good first round match in my opinion. Missouri, Michigan there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also interested to see what Brady Berge can do out of the 16.
That's what it is.
I know Kale was not thrilled with that seed, and I don't blame him. He's had a couple wins over Caleb Young, and he got third at Big Tens, and he's the 16 seed here. He placed higher than Peyton Robb. He beat Caleb Young, and I know it's kind of one of those things where he's only had 11 matches, so that probably hurts him a lot. And only he had like probably 5 matches at 157 because the rest were at 165. So
Yeah, Tyler, can you pull up the bracket on the screen for the viewers on YouTube?
Yep.
You got Brady Berge, Penn State. You got Will Luan, Michigan, and you got Caleb Young, all in the same from Iowa, all like in the same little quadrant. That right there is going to be huge for the team race, right?
yeah, because they're all going to have to wrestle each other at some point. Just depends on when you lose. You know, I have Caleb Young beating Will Luan, which maybe that's just a little bit of the Iowa homer in me. But that means Luan and Berge are going to wrestle on the backside. So if Young were to lose to Luan, him and Berge would be wrestling on the backside there, assuming Berge loses the car, which he will.
All right. David Carr.
David Carr.
David Carr.
Shout out to David Carr. All right, 165 pounds. Before we get to that, make sure you guys hit subscribe. We're on our way to 4,000?
4,000.
Yeah, 4,000 subscribers. Hit subscribe, please, if you're watching. Hope you guys enjoy this content. We got more coming. All right, the 165-pound bracket is probably either my favorite or my second favorite bracket, just because I think we're all going to have – I don't want to look at your bracket. I think we're all going to have different answers on this one. Evan Wick at the 1. At the 2, you got Keegan O'Toole. At the 3, you got Alex Marinelli. And at the 4, you got Dean, the Gritty Hamidi. Oh, boy. I'll let you go first, Jake.
I would say don't leave out Shane Griffith at the 5 either, returning national champ.
Absolutely. My apologies.
But I have Evan Wick winning. He's been on a roll this year. I had a really hard time picking between him and O'Toole, but I think Wick's got a better draw to the finals, and so I'm going to go with Wick. O'Toole is going to have to wrestle Valencia second round, and then he's got Carson Karchla, and then most likely Alex Marinelli. So O'Toole kind of worries me a little bit as far as like him just making the finals, so I don't want to pick someone who's not even going to be there. Where Wick is looking at probably Shane Griffith in the semis. I think he'll beat Dean Hamidi. And he's beaten Griffith 4 times this year, 3 or 4 times. So I feel pretty good about Wick winning.
I am taking O'Toole, but I think that O'Toole has the hardest 2-seed spot out of every bracket.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Valencia's tough.
Right.
Carson Karchla is really good. And,
Marinelli.
Well, in that quarter, too, you have Jake Wenzel, who beat him last year.
Right.
So that could be interesting. And then, yeah, Marinelli and O'Toole is a crazy stylistic matchup. O'Toole is all over the place, puts himself in a lot of positions, and Bulls just stays where he's good at.
Tyler, who do you got?
Yeah, originally I was going to do O'Toole, but after looking at the bracket, I'm going to go with Evan Wick for the same reason. O'Toole has a pretty tough path there.
Yeah, I mean, Evan Wick has just looked good all year, right? Joining Cal Poly, leaving Wisconsin. That rumor was kind of going around for a while there. He took 2 years off, maybe 1 year off to train for the Olympics and whatnot. Then you had all the COVID mess, and he just seems to really be firing on all cylinders. What's interesting is you can't ever count out Marinelli. I know he always tends to kind of fall off when it comes to the NCAA wrestling tournament. However, I really like where Marinelli's at in the bracket, being the 3 seed. Don't you guys like that? Where Marinelli's at?
Yeah, looking at this now, this has probably been the best draw he's had.
Right. I mean, I'd rather in this bracket, I'd rather be the 3 than the 2, to be honest.
Yeah, 100%.
Dean Hamidi's been really freaking good all year. It's going to be interesting to see how he can do at the NCAA wrestling tournament. You got 3 really tough days when you're a true freshman or redshirt freshman. True freshman. I mean, he's fun to watch. He's probably, outside of O'Toole, probably my most, my favorite wrestler to watch at this bracket, and maybe in all of wrestling, honestly. He just goes out there. He's real loose, and I feel like guys like that, they do tend to perform really well at NCAAs because they're having more fun out there. They're not really putting it on this huge pedestal as much as some of the other guys. I'm looking for him to make a deep run as well, but at the end of the day, I think this is Keegan O'Toole's weight. I think Keegan O'Toole, pound for pound, is one of the best wrestlers in college wrestling, if we're being honest. I'm a little bit of a Mizzou homer as well, but he's just fun to watch. He's one of those guys, you can be deep in on him. You can even take him down. It doesn't matter. You might be on your back in 10 seconds from that.
Yeah, the thing that kind of throws me off, too, is I think we've recency bias with O'Toole a little bit as far as like him winning a junior world title, and we haven't seen Evan Wick forever. So I think, and then with him wrestling at Cal Poly, it's not like it's Big 10 or Big 12 where we're watching and following along. So I think he's gonna surprise some people.
All right, moving along here. 74 pounds, 174 pounds. It's always a deep weight class. Doesn't matter the year. It's always deep. You got the number 1 seed, Carter Starace. You got the number 2 seed, Mekhi Lewis, 2 national champions. You got the 3 seed, Logan Massa, coming back off of retirement-ish. The 4 seed, you got Hayden Hidley. And then at the 5 seed, you got Michael Kemmerer. Any other year, I would say Michael Kemmerer was winning this weight. I just think the injuries are too much. I don't think the human body was supposed to wrestle as long as Michael Kemmerer has been wrestling. This guy has a brace on about every ligament in his body at this point in his career. I'm kind of interested to see who you're going to pick. Try not to look at your bracket, but I'm stealing Starace. You're going with Starace?
Oh, yeah. I think he's just the most solid one. I mean, he can win in a ton of different ways, like we watched him ride out Massa, and I know that was a pretty boring ride out, but sometimes you got to do that to win big matches. So I think he can win in a lot of different ways. I think his draw isn't super great with Labriola getting the 9 seed. I think Labriola is a tough out, but I don't see him beating Starace. And then obviously I think Kemmerer is probably his toughest match stylistically, and Kemmerer's all banged up. So I have him losing to Hidley, unfortunately, because Kemmerer is one of my favorite Hawkeyes ever. So that does suck, but yeah, Starace to win this bracket.
Tyler?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Starace. So you have Hidley beating Kemmerer?
I do.
Okay.
I do, but I don't feel great about it. Yeah. I just know I watched Kemmerer scream in pain when when he's wrestling Ethan Smith. So that would worry me against Hidley, who's obviously extremely solid and strong and
physical,
will hold position really well and dig underhooks, and probably not good to have your shoulders getting wrenched on an underhooks for 7 minutes against one of the best guys from an underhook in the country.
Yeah, no, that's a scary matchup.
Let's talk about Southeast Polk a little bit. We got Cade DeVos from South Dakota State. I got to hang out with his dad a little bit over the weekend and some of the South Dakota State coaches, so shout out to the Jackrabbits. Yep. But Cade DeVos has the 12 seed. He's got Bailey O'Reilly. I'm picking Cade there. I just want to give a shout out to Cade DeVos.
Yeah, I'm picking Cade too. And then we also have a second Southeast Polk Ram in this bracket with Lance Runyon down at the 18 seed. So he's got a rematch with Mantanona. He's beaten him before, but he's lost twice to him this year, so I'm really hoping he'll get that one back. And then, assuming when he does that, he'll have a nice little draw on the backside. I think both Cade and Lance have potential to make a deep run here.
Yeah, they've never wrestled before, have they? They've always been at different weights.
They've never wrestled in college. The last time they wrestled was their sophomore year of high school.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting weight class, though. I haven't given my pick out yet, so I am going to differ from you guys on this one. I'm actually going with who I have in my Fantasy Fight League team, and I'm going Hokies, baby. I'm going Mekhi Lewis. I think he's going to do it. This is similar lines to the David Carr logic for me. When the lights are bright, the superstars shine, baby. I'm going Mekhi Lewis. I think he just is another guy who, when he won it, right, he had like 6 losses. And he showed up, beat Vincenzo Joseph. Nobody was predicting that. He was like the 8th seed at the time.
Yep, beat Marinelli too.
He's coming off a good win over Hidley in the ACC championship, so I think he's going to keep riding high. I do like his seed at the number 2. I think he's got a not comfortable. Nothing's ever comfortable, right? But I do think he's got a good path when you look at what some of the other guys have. Ethan Smith scares me. He's real solid, but I'll take my chances with Mekhi Lewis, man.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. I had a hard time with that one just because, like you said, I think Lewis and Starace are both pretty similar as far as they're extremely difficult to score on and have good counter offense. So it'll kind of be one of those matches where first person to make a mistake will lose.
So is that your finals matchup?
Yep, Starace over Lewis. And I don't think it's like a for sure thing that Starace wins.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something real quick. When you do these WrestleStat pools, you placed in like almost all of them last year. You placed in ours, right?
Yep.
And, you got second in the Wrestling Room one, which is one of the biggest ones out there. What's the strategy? Can you give a little sauce?
Yeah, I try to get 5 or 6 guys who I feel really good about them making the finals, and then just hope that 1 or 2 of them is like a 6 or a 4 or 5 seed. So you get some value there, and then you got to get lucky and pick a couple guys who can make deep runs as like a 20 seed. Like last year I had Yaya Thomas.
Wow.
Yeah, and I had Real Woods also, and I know he made a little run there to like the blood round. So, when you get a couple guys who have really low seeds that make deep runs, you're able to do really well. And then obviously your horses have to carry you, but you got to make sure you find value. So like here, I think Ethan Smith has a ton of value at the 7 seed. I don't have him beating Lewis. I think that'll be a close match, but I also have Smith making a really deep run on the backside. He's looking at like a plot match in the Conci quarters to get into the top 6 as a 7 seed. I think he's a good pick.
Do you have Plot as an All-American?
I do. I have him beating O'Malley in the blood round, and losing to Massa. But I don't like that match with Mako second round for Plot. I think that's a really tough match.
Interesting. All right, 184 pounds. This is another favorite for me. I don't know if it's favorite for anybody else, but you got Miles Amin at the 1. At the 2, you got Aaron Brooks. At the 3, you got Trent Hidley. And at the 4, you got Parker Keckeisen. I don't know if I put my pick on wax yet, but, I'm very interested to see how this is going to play out. This is one of those brackets to me that you could wrestle 5 times and probably have, 5 different results maybe. But go ahead with your pick first.
I'm going to pick Aaron Brooks. Not a huge fan of the pick. I think that Trent Hidley match is going to be extremely competitive. I don't think we're giving, everyone's talking about Brooks and Amin, but Hidley is extremely good, gave Brooks all he could handle last year in the finals. And I think Amin, the match I watched at Big Tens was Brooks winning for about 95% of that match. And this, I think he got a little tired or whatever it was. And
which is, he did not look tired at all until he lost.
Yeah, but he was gassed.
He was at the end. But I thought Amin was gassed the whole time.
Yeah, I think part of that's just playing a little bit of a game there too.
The rope-a-dope.
Yeah, I think. And maybe he's just really, really tough and can get tough when he needs to, which is obviously he's extremely talented. But yeah, I think if it's a Brooks and Amin, I think Brooks wins this time.
I think Brooks though at the 2 is another really tough 2 seed, right? Look at who he's going to have in the second round. He's either going to have, either Abe Assad or Hunter Bolin. I'll probably take Hunter Bolin there, but Hunter Bolin was a 2 seed last year, I believe, right?
Yeah, he was a really high seed. I can't remember. He was definitely a top 4 seed though, and Bolin's always been one of those guys that wrestles everyone close. But that's the problem is when you wrestle the 16 seed as close as you wrestle the 1 seed, you're due to get beat every once in a while. A match I'm extremely excited for is Keckeisen and Amin, assuming it happens.
Yeah, that's what I was just trying to
think Keckeisen can beat Amin. I'm not going to pick it, most likely. At least I'm not right now. But Keckeisen's a guy who can wrestle with anyone, and he wrestles super hard.
You guys want to know something?
Yeah.
I'm picking Keckeisen to win this thing, baby. Panther Train.
Panther Train. I'm in on the Panther Train.
I think Keckeisen can do it. I was really high on Marcus Coleman all year. Marcus Coleman's having a great year.
Yep.
But just seeing the first time that Keckeisen wrestled Coleman and the second time that Keckeisen wrestled Coleman, he just opened up the gap. He's looking really freaking good. I'm picking him. The guy's got a crazy gas tank. He attacks. He's really hasn't really been in a whole lot of danger this year other than losing to Brooks down in Florida.
Yep.
Was it Brooks that he lost to?
Yeah,
it was.
I think it was 3-2.
Yeah, but it was close.
Yep.
Right? And I know that's kind of how Brooks wrestles. It's usually kind of tight, but I just think Parker's gonna freaking do it. I don't know what it is. 184-pound you, right? You got Drew Foster there, and then Taylor Wong got kind of robbed with the COVID year. But I think Parker Keckeisen's gonna carry the torch for the Panthers, and I'm picking him. And that's not a homer pick because I'm not a UNI fan. I'm an Iowa State fan, but I'm going with Keckeisen. I really want to. If I wasn't going with Keckeisen, I'd go Brooks. This isn't one of those picks that I'm super confident in. I just didn't want to go all the way to chalk. but I'm going Keckeisen. I feel okay with that.
That'd be good. I mean, I think Keckeisen's got a lot of value at the 4 seed, and I think Brooks actually has a lot of value at the 2 seed. Especially in those WrestleStat pools, it's like a 50-point difference between first and second. So that would be someone to take a look at if you feel really good about Brooks or Keckeisen.
Tyler, did you give your pick yet?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a Keckeisen and Brooks finals, and I got Brooks.
Okay, so you are taking Keckeisen over me then.
I feel good about it.
I like it.
All right. 197. So I told you guys earlier, 165 was one of my favorite weight classes. 197. If it's not 65, my favorite, 197 for sure is. At the 1, you got Max Dean. At the 2, you got Stephen Buchanan. I'm interested to hear what you're going to say about him. The 3 seed, you got Eric Schultz. At the 4 seed, you got Patrick Brucky. And at the 5th seed, you got Nino Bonacorsi, who's NCAA finalist. So there's a lot of interesting matchups in this one in the first round. I'm just going to go ahead and get to my pick. Tell me why Stephen Buchanan can't win. I think he's going to win. He's looked really good. He got pinned by the North Dakota State kid, but that was another one of those COVID situations, just coming off COVID. I'm not sure the lungs were completely there yet, but I think Buchanan can win. I really do. I think he looks really good right now, and I'm picking him.
I'm not picking Buchanan. I think this weight can go
You're insane.
a ton of different ways. My pick is not good.
What happened?
I think Warner's gonna beat Schultz. And he was beating him earlier this year and lost at the lost at the last second. And then
I just talked up everybody about how you're this expert.
Yeah, well, you can hit me up when Warner pulls this one off and
right.
gets a W. The only one that would worry me is if Brucky beats Dean, because I don't think Warner's losing to Dean again.
Okay.
And this is probably the Iowa homer coming out of me, but
that's all right.
Buchanan is obviously really good. That quarter there with Bastida and Elam really scares me. And then Trumbull second round is also a match that really worries me, where I think Warner's got an awesome draw to the quarters, and then he's shown he can compete with Schultz, and Schultz just doesn't have a ton of offense, and that would worry me as a 3 seed. I like Warner at the 6 seed.
I mean, the 10 and the 23, Braxton Amos and Younger Bastida, that's crazy for a first-round match.
There's a ton of really good, crazy first-round matches. I mean, Jay Aiello and Cordell Norfleet's another one. Aiello has beaten Warner before, and Norfleet, I think, was a 2 seed last year. And then you also have Lou Dupre and Cam Caffey second round. I mean, Dupre has a win over Dean a couple years ago, if I'm not mistaken, and Caffey beat Dean this year. So I think that one is very interesting.
Do you have Younger All-American?
I do. I have him beating Tanner Sloan. That is assuming he beats Rocky Elam.
Again, for 3 times in a row. That's another one where it's like, yeah, if you keep wrestling, eventually Elam might beat him. But
yep. I think if he doesn't beat Elam, I think then you're looking at a Nino Bonacorsi to place, and I think that match is a lot tougher than, a Tanner Sloan or a Jake Woodley matchup to place.
All right, so I got Stephen Buchanan. You got Jacob Warner. Both wild picks, by the way. Right?
I think so, too. I think this weight, there's 6 or 7 guys that could win.
I'd say most people probably have their money on Max Dean, and probably second, probably Brucky. No? Don't you think most people would probably pick either those two?
Brucky's look good.
Yeah, Brucky's looked really good. I don't think he started out super strong. I mean, obviously he's got 6 losses, but he just had a really good Big Ten tournament. Beat Warner twice. So Dean just scares me a little bit. I've watched him sometimes, and I've thought that he's not super great, and then I watch him against other guys, and he looks awesome. So.
You know who I'm picking to make the semis?
Who's that?
Rutgers, Greg Bolsack.
So you've got him beating Schultz and then Warner.
I do.
I guess you call me crazy for picking Warner. I'm calling you a little crazy, I think, for picking Bolsack. I don't think it's the worst pick ever, but
I think it's interesting.
Where's that come from?
What?
Picking him.
I've watched him wrestle all year. He was I think I won some money on him this year, so I've been kind of high on him. So, I've been gambling with some homies, and I feel like if anybody, I ride or die for the guys who make me money. So I'm picking him. Little Rutgers. I feel like Rutgers usually has some good tournaments. I feel like they usually do put a guy pretty far into the tournament that maybe shouldn't be that far, at least on paper that is. So not super confident in that pick, but that's one of those things that we talked about earlier with those WrestleStat pools when you're trying to find value in those guys who aren't seeded so high. And that's one of them. I don't have him on my Fantasy Fight League team, but, that's a guy that I might pick on my StaleMates WrestleStat pool.
Right.
Tyler, what did you say?
No, I was just going to say, I think the bottom half of this bracket is a much better spot to be in than the top half. I think Dean, Dupre, Bonacorsi, and Brucky are all extremely good and all capable of winning, where on the bottom, you never know. Any given day, you're looking at a different result.
Pence over Schultz again?
I don't
That
have it.
It's not even probably going to happen, right?
It shouldn't happen, but you never know. I think Pence is real banged up too.
Yep. Tyler, who do you have winning this?
I got Buchanan, and I don't really feel like that's that crazy of a pick.
I mean, I just feel like, Wyoming, and he's kind of flown under the radar quite a bit, right? I mean, he's been really good. If you really pay attention, you know who he is. But I just feel like at this weight, it doesn't help that AJ Ferrari's at this weight and everybody kind of next topic this weight all year. So no one's really debated this weight for the most part. And then when Ferrari was kind of out, it was kind of like, all right, well, this is the Max Dean show. He was, the next guy up. And Buchanan was kind of farther down. And now watching him wrestle, I feel like he's kind of up there. He's in the mix. He's beating good guys. And 97 pounds at the Big 12 was deeper and tougher, in my opinion, than the Big 10. So being the champ there, to me, kind of is a no-brainer. But you got Warner, I got Buchanan, and you got Buchanan. So I guess maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not that crazy to pick him. But I haven't heard a lot of people say his name, so I'm picking him.
I think he's like the new thing that people are picking, just with this weight being so up in the air. I think he's really solid and he wrestles really hard. I think the Penn State factor will come in here, and Max Dean will probably find a way to win. So we'll see. This, like you said about 165, this weight is right up there with a bunch of guys that could win.
I mean, Kale's gonna kale, right? He always seems to get his guys ready.
Kale will kale.
All right, 285. We got Gable Steveson at the number 1. At the number 2, we got Colton Schultz. We got number 3, Tony Cassiope. And at the 4, we got Greg Kirkvliet. I'm picking Colton Schultz. No, I'm just kidding to win this way. I'm picking Gable Steveson. I'm pretty sure you guys are too, right? Gable?
Yep.
Gable?
Yeah.
All right. The Olympic gold medalist is going to be insane to watch. I'll say this before you guys tune out of this show. I really hope if you're there in Detroit, you don't leave early to watch him. If they end up ending on 285, which I don't really know for sure how the finals are going to look. Nobody does yet. Sometimes they like to switch it up and make the most entertaining match of the night the last one. However, I hope that Gable gets an arena full of wrestling fans stand on their feet, giving him a standing ovation. To me, this felt like a Kobe Bryant year for him. When Kobe Bryant retired, he went around to every single arena. They all gave him praise, appreciation for what he's done for the sport. I really hope Gable gets the same treatment in our sport, because he didn't have to come back this extra year, and he did. He could have went on and made millions of dollars. He's going to end up doing that anyways. He delayed all that. He's a young kid. He's been in the sport for forever. And, watching him win the Olympic gold medal was one of the highlights of this entire StaleMates venture that we've been on, just being able to kind of watch him. I don't know him at all. We've never interviewed him, never really talked to him. But I'm a big fan of Gable Steveson. Super easy pick. I'd say for most people, people will do those little pools where you pick the champs and then you rank the champs and you're most confident to your least confident. This is a unanimous across the board. Gable Stevenson's going to win it. It would be insane for anything else to happen. So let's move on. What other crazy stuff's going to happen in this weight bracket? I like the 5 seed Wyatt Hendrickson. He hasn't really wrestled anybody. He got taken down right away from Luke Serber from Oklahoma State in the finals. I think Luke kind of timed the whistle. Seemed like, I don't know, it kind of came off the gate firing, and then it was the Wyatt Hendrickson show from there on out. I'm really curious to see where you have him at in your bracket. First of all, tell me who you have in the finals, because I know your champ's at Gable.
Yeah, I have Mason Parrish making the finals, which I know he's a 7 seed. He's probably the best 7 seed in the tournament. I think he matches up really well with Schultz and Cassiope, the other guy I have in the semis on the bottom half, and I think he's gonna figure out a way to get it done. I think Michigan needs him to make the finals.
I mean, this is another big team race one, right? The team race could come down to heavyweight too, so this might keep people in their seats.
Yeah, I mean that, and I think that part of that maybe went into my iffy Warner pick last weight was, Iowa needs someone to step up, and I think at this weight, Iowa and Michigan need either Cassiope or Paris to step up, and I think Paris has the skills and the ability to do it. I know for whatever reason, he can't beat Kerkvliet, so it was probably the best thing that could have possibly happened to him for him to fall to the 7. So he should be thanking Wyatt Hendrickson quite a bit for having the season he's had. But yeah, Hendrickson's awesome. Him and Gabe Christensen used to wrestle in high school quite a bit.
Gabe get him?
Gabe beat him I think in freestyle or Greco at in Akron, Ohio for cadet trials. Like, I'm not 100%. I know he beat him once, but Hendrickson's been on a roll.
Where's he from?
He's from Kansas, I believe. That sounds right.
Is he a big Greco guy?
I don't think he was a big Greco guy. Christensen was a big Greco guy.
Yeah.
But Hendrickson was just always a really good athlete, really good-looking kid, and he was smaller than that would have been like 205 or a weight somewhere around there.
He does not look like a heavyweight. These not like hardly any of these heavyweights anymore look like heavyweights.
Colton Schultz is probably the only one that kind of looks like, out of the top 5 or 6.
Fired.
Yeah.
Shots fired.
Actually, Jordan Wood too. He's,
Oh man. Yeah, I mean these heavyweights nowadays, they're just. Did Kyle Snyder kind of start that? Kind of start the trend of like
he was kind of like first new era.
Like you can be an undersized guy because it was before Kyle Snyder. It was like he
could have been a 197 pounder.
I mean Adam Kuhn was huge. He looked kind of heavyweightish just because of how big he was.
One of the first ones I remember is David Zabriskie for Iowa State. He ended up winning a title, but I think he only weighed like 220.
Right. Oh, you're saying one of the smaller guys?
Yeah, he was small for a heavyweight. Obviously, he's giant, jacked, but
yeah, he's huge.
Yeah.
At this weight though, it's going to be interesting to see how the backside I think plays out more than anything because again, this is one of those team race weights to be honest.
I have Cassiope and Kerkvliet wrestling for 3rd, and that could, if you're talking team race, if things were to get real crazy and Iowa have some guys step up, that could be a match that decides a lot.
Yeah.
In that 3rd place match.
Imagine if it did come down to that and the Saturday morning session was packed. Be nuts.
Yeah. I would hope it would be. It's kind of crazy that round is always not super well attended when you got some of the best guys in the country wrestling, but probably a night out before thing.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Saturday night's always like I feel like Saturday morning people are kind of spend it to kind of sleep in and they just hit the bar all day. And the finals is just there's not a better night all year than that.
Well, and it's to me my favorite round of any tournament is the quarters and the semis, and that happens on Friday. And Absolutely. So, Friday night people are all worked up and ready to rock and roll, and then they're ready to go out and have a good time on Friday night, get ready for the next day. So I think that goes into it. But yeah, I think Mason Paris can make a run here. I feel really good about it.
Who do you have for your other finalist at heavyweight?
Let's see here. I got Gable. I don't know. This is a bracket that
tough.
I haven't spent a lot of time on. I'm going to go Cassiope.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, actually, no. And I'm not going to say why, but, oh, man. I'm going to go Paris. I think Paris. Sorry. I forgot about something else. I'm going with Mason Paris. You put me on the spot there.
Yeah, my bad. I'll go with Schultz.
The people at home might ask about that one. All right. I don't know. The first round though, you got Hilger and Zach Elam. That's a good first round match, right?
Yeah, it is.
Gary Traub, Gaston Gary, and AJ Neville's. That's interesting, right?
I think a match to watch in the second round is Lucas Davison and Matt Stencil.
Yes.
Just something to think about. Matt Stencil pins everybody, not named Gable. And Lucas Davison's one of those smaller heavyweights who used to be a 97-pounder. Got to get past Sam
Schuyler, though.
Yeah, that's actually a tough match. I didn't even see that. But I think Davison poses a lot of issues for a lot of these heavyweights because he's smaller and he's strong and he's fast.
Yeah. All right. Now, last but not least, if you guys don't know, you can go to fantasyfightleague.com and play this fantasy sports. Fantasy sports are like the biggest thing in like the gaming space in the past probably 10 to 5 years. Fantasy Fight League has done a really good job of making it pretty simple for wrestling fans to do. I encourage you guys to do it. You can scroll down and click the link that we'll put in the description, and you can play against other people. You can win insane prizes. Let me see if I can find some of the prizes. But, right now, so if you get first place, you get a flight to Worlds. I don't even know where that's at, but that can't be cheap. You get a free account for life if you get second. Insane value there. You get Ruda shoes if you're third. Dan Gable autograph if you're fourth. And then it goes on and on. You can win a bunch of other gear. So if you guys want to play some games and have some fun for this upcoming NCAA wrestling tournament, I highly encourage you to join fantasyfightleague.com. That'll be fun. Also, join our WrestleStat pool. We're going to give away a prize to the winner, maybe second, third. We haven't figured it out yet. We'll figure it out, though. We always try to make it right for you guys. So, Jake, I appreciate you coming on the show. Another show, another year, right? So we're going to hopefully do this more often. Jake's, he's an avid fisherman in the off season, and he's a teacher, so he's got summers off. We might have him do some freestyle content for us, hopefully.
Yep.
He freaking follows that stuff like a hawk. It's insane. He's a guy that one of the guys that I text when I need to know some information. So again, appreciate you for coming on. The Warner pick's crazy. Everything else I like. Tyler, anything else you want to say? You're dropping the Night of Conflict video this week, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. We got some good content coming up. Got a Night of Conflict video coming, and then we'll make something for while we're at Nationals as well.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't subscribed yet, please hit subscribe. Drop a comment. Let us know where we're wrong. Let us know where we're right. And feedback is always good. Also, shout out to the Patreon members. Like, comment, subscribe, all that. We'll see you guys in Detroit, hopefully. Oh, last thing, if you're in Detroit, Thursday before the evening session from 4 to 6 at Hockey Town Cafe, we're doing a social with Ryan Warner from Wrestling Changed My Life. We did one in Iowa City before the Iowa-Penn State duel, and it was so fun. So stop by. We'll have prizes and everything else. So see you guys next time.